Yo, what up, everybody? It's Verbal D. My afterthoughts for Genesis chapter 12. Pretty deep chapter again. So we get into these stories, getting really, really interesting, right? So a lot of drama happening in this one. So now the Lord has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will shew thee, right? And shew is the past old tense of show. So he's basically commanding Abram, leave your land, leave your family, leave everything, and I will give you a great land, right? To show you, I will show you a great land. Verse number 2, he's blessing Abram as he's promised, right? He wanted to make him a great nation. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Now here's the contrast. So back in chapter 11, the people who were in Shinar, the people who had one language and a one speech and their imagination is evil, they said, verse number 4, and they said, Go to us, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And God ended up scattering them abroad on the face of the whole earth anyway because of their actions. Now, if you fast forward to chapter 12, verse number 2, God gives you an example of how to make a name for yourself. How do you make a name for yourself? Not necessarily on your own. God will provide that way, right? He says, And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So God will do these things for you if you allow yourself to be used by God. And that's so deep, right? Verse number 3, And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. So God's got your back, is basically what he's saying. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, right? So just because of Abram's presence, his name, his greatness, his nation, all families of the earth will be blessed. So Abram, in one way or another, right? So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Verse 5, And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and so basically his nephew, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Verse number 5 doesn't literally mean that they're out there just snatching souls. It's just another term for human beings, people that they have acquired to be a part of their group, right? So that's just all about context. People try to twist the context of the Bible to fit their own agenda or just misinterpret it, but that's normal. If you don't know something, don't ask me. I'm not super wise or anything. I'm also still learning the Bible, keep myself humbled. I want to understand things, overstand things, but the person who has all the answers, the one and only, the Most High. So when you don't know something, ask God first, wait on the response, be patient. 1,000 years for us is one day to him. He will answer when he answers. The timing is God's timing, even though he's a God of without time. He's a timeless being. But in due time, in God's timing, he will show you things that you need to learn. Here we go. So verse number 6, And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land, right? So they were there. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. Right? So Abram is also perfect in God's eyes. Or maybe I shouldn't say perfect, but he is chosen and blessed. Just like Noah. And you see Abram, he's building an altar to spend time with God, right? And he's not forgetting God. He's always putting God in the forefront. And God's blessing him continually, right? And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, Abram, right? And pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east, or Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. He relies on the Lord. He calls upon the name of the Lord, as should we. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. Verse 10, and there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold, now know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. What does that mean? That his wife is beautiful, gorgeous, amazingly stunning, attractive, however you want to name it. She is by far a very attractive woman. I wouldn't say she's seductive, but God made man in his image, and God has made many, many beautiful things, beautiful creatures, beautiful animals, and obviously as a man to another woman who is very attractive, Abram knows that his wife is extremely beautiful, right? And he's actually humble in this first part of saying, thou art a fair woman to look upon, right? Verse number 12, therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. So he's saying, man, you're so beautiful, or lady, you're so beautiful, my wife, you're so beautiful. When they see you, they're going to be so jealous, they're going to off me really quickly, and they're going to try to get with you, right? And obviously they'll probably wait the I don't know if it's 30 days or 90 days mourning period, and then they just, whoever is worthy would marry this woman, right? So he's scared for his life, scared for his safety. He just says, in verse 13, say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with thee, well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. So now here, there's nowhere in the Bible that says God told him to do this, right? But he does it anyways. He's being deceitful, trying to save his own skin and his own soul. But as the Bible teaches us, do not put fear into men. Fear belongs to God. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, right? And do not fear man, who can kill only the flesh. Fear God, because he can kill the flesh and the spirit, your soul, right? And he's trying to save his soul. Clearly stated, says, and my soul shall live because of thee, because of his wife pretending to be his sister. But God will look out for Abram, because he's made this covenant with him and making him into a great name and a great nation. So even as a man that he makes mistakes and doesn't rely on full-on faith in God in situations like these, because he knows his wife is beautiful and man's imagination is evil from youth, he feels that he needs to devise a plan to protect himself, right? Verse 14, and it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. So Abram was a bit humble, saying, thou art a fair woman. But here it says that when they looked upon her and beheld the woman, that she was very fair, right? Very beautiful. Verse 15, the princes also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. So because the princes were like, whoa, that woman is smoking hot, that woman is amazing, she's one of a kind, Pharaoh took heed to the princes, obviously adoration of her, and took her for him to have her as his wife, right? Then, since he thinks that Abram is her brother, verse 16 says, and he entreated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep and oxen and he asses and men servants and maid servants and she asses and camels. And this is the way where God is beginning to make Abram's name very great and of a great nation. He's already receiving lots and lots of gifts and resources just from being the pretend brother of his own wife, to the Pharaoh's demise, because a lot of things that are happening in Egypt are very despicable, abominable things. So this is being allowed to happen so that God can show that the God of Israel is real. The God of Hebrews does give consequences, especially if you try to be with somebody else's wife, even unknowingly, right? You have to do your due diligence and make sure that the woman that you choose is not already taken, right? That's a big sin. Verse 17, and the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, she is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. So God still delivered Abram out of the situation. Pharaoh was plagued. Just like we will learn that the Pharaoh of Egypt was also plagued with Moses, not allowing his people to go. And that is the relationship between Egypt, the pharaohs, and God. There was always this strife that's happening. So we have, I can say, the Illuminati and the New World Order, they have their ancient ties to Egypt and their traditions instilled in Egypt, because Egypt is seen as a Babylonian playground for despicable rebellion and, just all out trespass and not being in line with God's will. So they have many gods, they do many practices which involves sorcery and magic and familiar spirits and worshiping false deities and false gods. So that is why you will see more and more stories coming from Egypt where the pharaoh is being plagued and the people are being plagued. And even though Abram lied to protect his own soul, God gave him a pass because he is merciful and he's keeping his promise to preserve Abram as a great nation and the families to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed my afterthoughts for chapter number 12. And best believe it's going to get even more deep. I might miss some points. I have some really, interesting things that I want to express. But if I miss something, maybe I jump and tag it into the next video. But I will see you guys in the next reading, chapter number 13. God bless.